might find this hard to believe, but sometimes video podcasters and YouTube talking heads lure you with clickbait, like describing this home as a $500,000 eyesore. Although there are lots of eyesores on Park Street, this definitely wasn't one of them. Hi, I'm Joe Ward of Boxer Shorts Media, and I regretfully inform you that the home at 10 Park Street in Sydney has been demolished, and locals have been expressing regret and scratching their heads as to why. The demolition has caused a great deal of sadness for many folks, particularly from family members of the previous owner and those who appreciate the architectural history. They're simply surprised to see what they know as such a beautiful home to be purchased only to later be demolished. Now, social media commenters suggested that under new ownership, the building was supposed to be converted into a women's shelter called the Cedar House by the Nova Scotia Native Women's Association. But apparently, inspection resulted in so many deficiencies that it simply became more cost-effective to demolish it and rebuild than to complete the necessary fixes and renovations. The Cape Breton Post provided more details on this claim, and they quoted the owner directly, despite keeping their identity a mystery in the article. Now, I'm not sure if that was an editorial decision or just an oversight, but I'm a moderately inconsequential video podcaster, so what the hell do I know? However, the Post did outline a laundry list of issues including asbestos contamination, insulation problems, nondescript safety issues, heating issues, and let's face it, any older structure in the CBRM faces the same, and some structural issues. Now, firstly, I find it hard to believe these kind of issues weren't known prior to the purchase. Obviously, when you're an organizational buyer purchasing a property for $500,000 for a vital project, you usually have to do your homework on these things, and there are lots of local inspectors available to do so. In fact, for a deal of this size, you should bring in specialists from each trade to go over everything very intently. However, the Post article goes on to cite issues with energy efficiency, as per the previously mentioned issues, and federal and provincial accessibility standards, as well as insurable standards, whatever that might be in the context of a facility intended to be operated as a shelter. But that probably tells the real story. When I saw the purchase price of $500,000 in September 2021, and realized that a small plot of land is nowhere near that value, the demolition seemed like a terrible waste of resources purely from a financial standpoint. However, with new home building prices already pushing up near that range, if government funding is going to build a new shelter entirely, then demolishing a $500,000 home might not seem like that big of a deal anymore. And we can use the New Dawn development that happened recently and is moving forward as a general benchmark as to what we might expect. And that was a project in the millions. Now, to be more specific, for 25 living units, it was $5 million in investment from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Apparently, the home, formerly operating as a bed and breakfast, didn't hold any heritage status, as that would have prevented demolition. That basically means the new owner can do whatever they want to do with it, and they've gone ahead with that demolition. Just as the golden rule states, the folks with the gold make the rules. A very savvy digital contact of mine who is very knowledgeable on policy and modern civil development indicated that the neighborhood was previously zoned as, quote, a residential heritage district. But there have been changes with the CBRM Forward initiative that will allow structures with a higher number of living units to be built there. He noted it was just a quick observation that would have to be researched for anyone curious about how recent changes with CBRM Forward relate to the plans for the new structure that's going to be built. For now, disappointment aside, it looks like within the next few years, the loss of property will result in some new living accommodations for folks who desperately need it in the height of the CBU-driven housing crisis. And I guess for me, the government funding perspective is probably the only way to understand such an otherwise confusing decision. To make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, subscribe now to Boxer Shorts Media via your choice of YouTube or Facebook.
Please hang up and try again.